All right, the NBA come back tomorrow. Obviously, you know it's a doubleheader. I think the Lakers and the Clippers and the Warriors going to Brooklyn, take on the Brooklyn Nets and KD. But I'll drop that video later about, NBA preseason, who I think I won the championship, MVP, and all that good stuff. But let's talk a little bit about James Harden. We also going to talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo. Well, the Bucks losing the second round pick for, I guess, being premature with the Bojanovic situation. And also Carmelo Anthony saying Damian Lillard is best or greatest player that he's played with. But hey, hit that subscribe button, bell icon button, check out our NBA Talk playlist for more videos like this. And Mason is with us today. You don't like cameras, do you, buddy? You don't like cameras, do you, buddy? All right, as long as he stands still. But all right, go ahead, go down. Sit down. Good boy. But yeah, let's start off with James Harden. Miami just came out when I'm doing this video. Miami is no longer interested in trading for James Harden. I guess the price is too steep. What you hear now is possibly a trade for him to the Denver Nuggets for Jamal Murray. You hear Michael Porter Jr. Or you hear a possible trade for Pascal Siakam. Or you hear some things about Boston, maybe trading the package for Jaylen Brown. So let's kind of go through from the rumors that we hear. Now, if I'm Boston, I try to trade anything but Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum because they go good for James Harden. They can defend. Both of them can defend at a high level. So you got a guy that can score. You could put him on the weakest option. So that's the good thing about keeping both of them. If I'm them, I'm trying to basically put Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, some picks, maybe some guys who we drafted the last couple of years, Romeo Langford, who got a lot of potential, who might be ready to blow, whoever they draft this year. I think it was Aaron Neeson. I try to put a package around with picks and other players so I don't have to give up Tatum and Brown. But if I have to give up Jaylen Brown, you say I could put him in there with Kemba Walker, James Harden, Jason Tatum, whoever going to be in the middle, Tristan Thompson. So was that Tatum, Thompson, James at the 2, Kemba at the 1. So you probably... That's tough. Because you got Tristan at the 4. You got Tatum at the 3. So I don't know who's going to be their 4. Tatum is 6'10". He could play some 4. But I would think they need another wing there. And maybe some guys they got on the bench that's ready to come in and contribute. But I can dig it. But if I'm them, I'm trying to really put in Kemba Walker and possibly Mark. But him and Marcus Smart, I'll try to get rid of Kemba Walker. I can put Marcus Smart and James Harden in the backcourt. It can work. Tatum and Trent. I'm mad at Boston for that. For Boston, if I can do anything in my power to keep Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, to keep James Harden, then yeah, but it's worth the risk because Jason Tatum is a big shot maker, big shot taker, big shot maker. He's a bona fide baller. So James Harden can easily fall back to number 2 or 3. If you got Kemba Walker, I think a healthy Kemba Walker, maybe you keep Kemba. Because Kemba could take big shots in his career and make them. You've seen that since college. Jason Tatum, that might be a better deal. You could trade Jaylen Brown, like his game, but Marcus Smart, Kemba Walker, they can carry James Harden until you get over his playoff phobia. Now, we go into the Toronto Raptors. Pascal Siakam didn't have the greatest postseason, but it's the bubble. I'm not holding it against him. But if I'm them, who do they got to offer? They lost Marcus Gasol. They lost Serge Ibaka. Norman Powell is a good guy. But if it's a package around Pascal Siakam, I mean, really, he going in the same way. Toronto's no longer a championship team. You can put him back there with Van Fleet, Kyle Lowry. I really, for Toronto, I don't like that. I keep Kyle Lowry, Fred Van Fleet, Pascal Siakam, and try to draft well over the next few years. But if you got to do them, if you got to do a trade, I try to trade anybody but Pascal Siakam. But I really don't like Toronto or the Tampa Bay Raptors this year because Canada's still locked down. I don't like them for that trade, in my opinion. That's just my personal opinion, all right? Now we go on to... So Boston was in there. Toronto, rumors of Toronto, obviously Miami out. So then you go on to I'm drawing a blank, to Denver. Now, if I'm Denver, I'm willing to trade a future first and Jamal Murray for James Harden. But that's as far as I go. But if I'm Denver, I'll try to keep Jamal Murray because he can take big shots and make them. Where I start at... Excuse me. Where I start at, I'm all right, buddy. Where I start at is Will Barton, Gary Harris. That's where I'm willing to go with. Bolo, you see his potential and some picks. But then again, Denver, depth is their strength. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm Denver, if I'm going to do that and try to find creative ways to keep Murray and Jokic, maybe I'll try to trade for Blake Griffin, But I think I still got Paul Millsap. They got Jokic. They was out without a long stretch in the play without Gary Harris. They was out without Will Barton last year. He came out and said he don't want to be no sixth man, so he easy trade bait. But to be honest, maybe you throw Michael Porter Jr. in there, Will Barton, Gary Harris, and some picks in there. And you get James Harden with Jamal, with Bola, who looking good this year. He up for Rookie of the Year. So, yeah, that's my opinion on it, to be honest. But I think Denver's a good place for him if he can stay in shape. I'm not being a titty bars and stuff. But him and Jamal Murray in the backcourt, that's nice. I think Jamal Murray could really step up his defensive effort. I think he'd be a better defender than James Harden. But, yeah, why not? James Harden need to be on teams where when it's time to win, he not the guy. He can defer, and you can be good. See, Michael can when he learned to really win and really how to operate and win games and win championships, Michael can defer the whole 3 quarters in meaningful games and take over when he needed to. If it was the second, if it was the third, if it was the fourth, he can hit big shots. James Harden, the opposite. He can run through the regular season, be MVP. When it comes to the second round of playoffs or Western, he needs a guy he can defer to. You know what I'm saying? And at that point, all 5 defenders now looking at James. Now with Jamal Murray knowing the big shot guy, they collapse on Jamal Murray. They can rotate the ball to James Harden. Now the game is easier. Now James can get over that phobia of not being a good playoff player. Now he can make the extra pass, and James can really get comfortable. And I think Denver is a great place for him. Boston is a great place for him. Not so much Toronto. I think Miami was another good place for him because Jimmy Butler, big shot maker, big shot taker. He don't need the glory in the first 3 rounds, the first 2 quarters. He can take his glory in the 4th quarter. So, in my opinion, man, I think James' best destination out of these two, period, is Boston or Denver. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the best destination for him. I think he can really go crazy there. And, I think they should make a run for him. I think Boston, if they keep Kemba Smart and Tatum and Trey, I think Boston is right there with Brooklyn as the 2 best teams. I think Philadelphia is there because they got a real coach in Doc Rivers. So I think they right there. The East is better than the West. Top 4 or 5 teams. If KD can come, be KD and Kyrie can stay healthy, the East is tougher. Top 4 or 5 teams. Think about it. You got the Lakers who didn't get better in my opinion. The Clippers who really didn't get better. They got to prove it. And then really who else you got? You got Denver who should really win the West if they mature the right way. But outside of that, I'm not scared of Utah. I'm not scared of the Rockets. They're going to trade James Harden. It's inevitable at this point. I'm not scared of the Spurs. I'm not scared. The Phoenix Suns might be the next scariest team. But you look at the East, Philly got a real coach now. Brett Brown was garbage. Brooklyn, KD looked good. He looked like he ready to roll. You got the reigning Eastern Conference bubble champions in the Miami Heat. You got Indiana who ain't no hoe. You still got Toronto who there. Boston, Philly. Brooklyn. It's tough. Real tough. And I think it's a good move for them to go out there and get James Harden, Boston or Denver. I think they get James Harden. I think Denver had the number 1 seed easily. Because he as soon as they kind of gel, he a regular season front runner. And I think Jamal Murray is good enough, or Tatum is great enough to really get them over the hump. Really get them over the hump, man. So if James Harden is traded, he need to be with a Jimmy Butler, or Tatum, or guys like that, or Jamal Murray, who known for taking and making big shots. It'll make perfect sense for them to go to those destinations, and I think he can get over the hump. But if he can't get over the hump there, and he become the problem in playoff time, James Harden is really the worst postseason performer in the history of sports that I can remember. You know what I'm saying? But Denver and Boston is the best places for him. Really. But let's move on. We got Carmelo Anthony saying that Damian Lillard is the greatest player that he's played with. A lot of people got different opinions. Amari Stoudemire, Chauncey Billups, Allen Iverson. Who else we got? He played with a lot of guys over this course. Damian Lillard, Russell Westbrook, Paul George. My opinion, that's his opinion. I can't knock and say who is the greatest teammate. Carmelo Anthony has played at a height that I've never played at, and he's a really good ball player still to this day at 36 years old. But I probably would say Chauncey Billups is the greatest player, but he didn't like Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups got Carmelo Anthony somewhere that he never been back. to the Western Conference Finals. You know what I'm saying? I think just looking at accomplishments, Chauncey Billups got Carmelo as far as he ever been, but Carmelo, there was rumors that Carmelo didn't like Chauncey because Chauncey was getting too much shine in Denver. That was a rumor that he was jealous that Chauncey was getting all the credit for getting them to the Western Conference Finals. So at the end of the day, Carmelo is one of the selfishest athletes. When you hear it, and I'm not saying as a person, but as an athlete, he's one of the most selfishest players that you ever really heard of. You know, you hear all these rumors about him, you know, wanting to score more, you know, this, that, and the third, not being a great teammate, not playing winning ball. When you look at his counterpart, a guy he's been compared with even in high school, even though he went to 1 year of college and LeBron went out. LeBron went straight to the league. You know, look at LeBron. He plays an unselfish brand of basketball. And Carmelo, number one thing is to score. I remember Jordan sitting with him after a Denver game when he said rebounds and assists are more important than scoring. He tried to tell Carmelo that. Carmelo never learned that. You know, it took Carmelo to be out the league for a while and sit and really think what he did wrong. You know, and like I said, I think it's Chauncey Billups just off a compliment. I think Damian Lillard is just one of the more talented players he played with. If you're talking about in time, I think Allen Iverson's the most talented. But at the time, Ivo wasn't Ivo. I think Chauncey Billups, in my opinion, was his greatest teammate. But apparently, there was some jealousy. Then you got to remember, too, you know, Chauncey was from Denver. Chauncey was the greatest basketball player that I can remember that came out of Denver, Colorado. The time my father lived there, he used to tell me how great, you know, Chauncey was. And people forget Chauncey was like a number 3 pick by Boston. And it took Chauncey a roller coaster ride, you know, since he came in. It was Colorado State. It took him a roller coaster ride, but he found his spot. And I think Chauncey Billups is one of the more out of prominent places. Great point guard, great big shot maker, big shot taker. I'm a huge Piston fan. Chauncey Billups turned our franchise around with Ben Wallace and Rip Hamilton receiver. It was just a perfect storm of free agents and trades and draft pick and Tayshaun Prince and Mehmet Okur and Lindsey Hunt. That's probably the greatest team in basketball history. I'm not saying as far as they can hang with anybody. Just greatest team, just far as fundamental camaraderie. It was just something that you will never see again. They would have been back-to-back champions if Rasheed didn't leave Tim Duncan. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think, in my opinion, Chauncey was, like, as far as, you know, compatibility, he got Carmelo farther than he ever been, but the most talented. At the time that Carmelo played with them, it might definitely be Damian Lillard, for sure. It might be Damian Lillard. So, you know, Damian Lillard, a great player. But, you know, he went to the Western Conference Finals, 1 or 2 times. Just ain't really been able to get over that hump. But people got to understand, Carmelo, it's his opinion. You know, and obviously there's going to be some emotion into it, who he got along with, who he didn't get along with. But he left some great players. Ivo, at the end of his career, Mark Stoudemire. I mean, you can really keep going on and on. Chauncey Billups, he played with some great guys. But Carmelo Anthony was never meant to be the number 1 guy. Jordan, Bird, Magic, LeBron. Really, at best, if you want to win a championship with him at his prime, he didn't have the mentality to win championships, He was just too much selfish as a player. He cared more about scoring than anything else. Remember Chauncey saying that he cared more about scoring than winning, and that's just the vibe he got off Carmelo. But, you know, let's move on. Apparently, the Milwaukee Bucks got in trouble. They got docked the 2nd-round draft pick. For basically, I guess, in their hand and basically prematurely announcing the Bojan Bojanovic trade. He didn't want to go to Milwaukee. He wanted to go to Atlanta. That's where he ended up at. But basically, just prematurely announcing the trade, and they got docked the 2nd-round pick. And, you know, it ain't been a lot of great 2nd-round picks throughout the draft. I think Isaiah Thomas, Gilbert Arenas, Monte Ellis, Dennis Rodman, Draymond Green. There's been some good ones, but I don't think that's really going to hurt the Milwaukee Bucks. But they had a lesson learned, and, you know, Bojanovic just didn't want to come there. I don't know if it was like he didn't like being in Milwaukee. He preferred the strip club and chicken wings and Waffle House of Atlanta, but he wanted to control his own destiny, and he did. He ended up in Atlanta, and, you know, I guess he liked living in Atlanta, or he liked the Atlanta team better than Milwaukee. And maybe it was not knowing if Giannis was going to stay, or maybe looking when they go to Milwaukee, he didn't really like it. So, I mean, who knows? Milwaukee, a lot of people say it's still segregated, still racist. Look at the John Henson story. I mean, it's a lot of Sterling Brown. Keep going on and on. But, hey, let me know what you guys think. Don't forget, we on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can reach out, give a business question, call, respond to your video request. We also got a Facebook group. That link's in the description. Want to make a financial donation? Do appreciate those. Cash App, CJ Good 313. That's in the description. PayPal link in the description. Best way to donate is share the video. And hit that subscribe button, bell icon button. But Good. Let me know what you think about James Harden. What you like, Denver, Boston, Milwaukee. Maybe Milwaukee, maybe Atlanta, or should Miami go all the way in? But other than that, best way to reach me, social media links in the description. Check out the NBA Talk playlist. Appreciate the love, support.